So recently, I had a client that reached out and said, hey, why are we doing exercises with rotation, rotating exercises? What is the benefit? What's in it for me? That kind of mentality. And that's a great question, because a lot of times in our traditional gym settings, we come in and we do a lot of these different exercises, but we don't do things that might necessarily carry over to the real world.
That's not good.
So we train in what we call a sagittal plane most of the time in our traditional gyms. Sagittal plane meaning everything is up and down, forward and backwards, so very strong. Kind of both feet flat on the ground, both hands on the implements, whatever we're using. Now we have the frontal plane, which is when I go side to side. So this is very important as well. And then we have the transverse plane, which is now when I start pivoting, when I start rotating through the hips. So just to let you know, here at Fitness Lying Down, when we say rotational drills, rotational exercises, we don't necessarily mean shoulder rotation. Now that is a pure rotation, but we're talking about the hips and how the hips rotate. A funny little caveat on top of that is that the transverse plane, again, that plane where I'm in rotation, is the only plane of motion where I'm not necessarily inhibited by gravity. So I'm very powerful. If you notice when baseball pitchers wind up, football players wind up, a boxer winding up to get ready for that strike, what do? They rotate through the hips, because that is the key amount of force production that you need for such a powerful movement. I'm assuming that most of our clients aren't throwing a 90-mile-an-hour plus fastball, is not throwing a 50-yard plus Hail Mary, and hopefully, I hope that our clients aren't out there striking people with punches.
That would be heaven.
But what they do need to realize and appreciate with rotation is movement efficiency. That's what the whole body is all about all the time. It wants to move in the most efficient manner. And so if we don't train it, it's not going to happen. So when we rotate, we pivot through the foot. And this helps us for what? Activities like bending over to pick something up. How many times do we see that somebody goes to bend over to pick something up, and maybe it's a little bit over to the side of them, and they go to do that task, and they just kind of round their spine, and they twist through their low back. And then after a while, maybe not the first time, but after a while, they're like, my back is starting to not feel good. Well, science, I wonder why. Why is it not feeling good? Because you're not moving efficiently. You're actually putting your body in a vulnerable position. So if I can pivot now, and I can allow my hips to turn, it's my hips and my shoulders are connected to my hips through this thing of what the kids call the core muscles. So everything pulls in together, and now I can be more efficient as I go to reach down for something. Or on the flip side, what happens when I have to reach across? So let's say there's something on the top shelf, my feet are standing flat on the ground, and I go to twist my spine as I go reach up for there. Well, again, I'm twisting through the spine, not moving through the hips. So if I can make that pivot, and I can allow my hips to move as I go, now what does that do? Not only does that become more efficient here, but it helps my shoulder mobility as I go reach above. Because if I'm twisting through the spine, things are going to get a little bunched up, and that just does not look good on the internet. So when we train for rotation here, we're training the feet. We're training how the feet pivot and how the feet don't pivot. So the one foot that doesn't pivot, the non-pivot foot, we like to use a lot of creativity when we use words to describe our motions. How that non-pivot foot stays anchored in the ground to help keep that stability, and how that pivot foot allows for more hip mobility, core stability, shoulder mobility, a happy life. That's where it's at. So when it comes to rotation, we train in so many different ways. Again, we start at ground zero. We build you up because there's so many different levels of rotation, so many different progressions, so many different ways to experience the sprinkles, the rotating sprinkles, the sprinkles with rotation, however which way you want to call it. So until the next time, my friends, you're welcome.